Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my house, y'all. I'm Lisa with the Quiltmaker Homestead, also known as Lisa Capen Quilts. I'm so excited to hang out with y'all today. Today I have a fun little project for you. We're just going to give it a minute though and let everybody get notified. And if they want to join us live, they can. If you're watching on the replay, you have the ability of fast forwarding and skipping around and all that fun stuff. But I hope you stick around because we always have fun. Hi everybody, it's so great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Just to let y'all know, there is a one-page PDF. It's free of this little gingerbread man. When I say little, when I was designing him, you know, everything looks bigger on a computer screen, y'all. When I designed him on the computer, he looked so much bigger. But I have some great examples of what you can do with this applique, and I'm going to show those to you here in just a second once everybody joins us. And different projects you can use this applique in or with or to make. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stitch them out with you today. And for those of you who struggle with doing perfectly mitered corners on your self bindings, I'm going to share with you a new to me hack. And I've only done it one time, so this will be my second time doing it with you, but I was blown away. Okay, and so I'm going to share that with you today too. Sheila says, I'm loving your shorts. Thank you so much. I'm having so much fun, y'all. Donna says, how do I stop the ads? You can buy YouTube Premium without the ads. Or you can just skip them as soon as you get the chance to. Just skip them. Ads show up at different times for different people. Yeah, just skip them during the live as soon as you're able to skip them. And then you can even while we're live, if you skip the ad and you feel like you missed something really important, you can scoot the little bar back a couple little frames to catch what you missed. Okay, before we get started, I have some news for everybody. If you're on Patreon, don't forget our quilt retreat starts tomorrow. Donna said she was super excited. I am too. I can't wait. This month we're doing a 24-hour nonstop quilt retreat. It starts tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I changed the time to later in the day for all of our friends who are a couple hours behind us. I always felt like they're missing a good chunk of the quilt retreat, so I bumped up the time. 2 p.m. tomorrow it starts until 2 p.m. Sunday. Okay, I've already posted the link for the retreat on the Patreon page, but if you click on it now, you're just going to sit in the waiting room. But the link is there for when we get ready to start. Hazel said, what was the short video yesterday all about? Which one, Hazel? Because I posted like 3 of them. A lot of them are movie references or song references. And if you haven't seen the movie, you might not get it, right? If you haven't heard the song, you might not get it. Things like that. Okay, so during Quilt Retreat, if you can't make it for the whole time, but you want to stitch the free pattern of the month for Patreon, at 8 p.m. we're going to do a stitch along. I'm not thinking I'm going to set it up as a tutorial, but we'll all start from the very beginning and go through and make this project. Even if you don't want to make this project, I hope you're still there, okay? But yeah, don't forget, 8 p.m. tomorrow night, we're going to start stitching one of these trivets. Lisa said, I've been loving the shorts. They crack me up. You too, Robin. I'm glad. Y'all, I'm such a dork. I'm just going to be the first one to say it, okay? What else? Also, Patreon next Wednesday, because I'm not going to see you here on YouTube before then. So I want to just remind you, next Wednesday evening, we're doing an Embrilliance workshop on Patreon. we're going to take a clip art, and I'm going to share the clip art with you. So if you want to follow along, if you have Embrilliance and do it on your end too, you can do it with the same clip art that I'm using. We're going to digitize it in stitch level 1, stitch artist level 1, and then stitch artist level 2. Okay, so don't forget about that next Wednesday. I am going to record that in case you can't make it. So Terry said, Weeza, don't you just love that movie? I've always loved that movie. All right, and if you have to leave before we're done today, come back on the replay and skip to the end, because we're going to do our drawing for these two things, right? Remember from last week? We're going to do that at the end of today. All right, now before I get started, let me just show you. This is the one-page PDF, and it looks big, right? It looks big on the page, but y'all, I cut out my pieces, and I'm like, those are little tiny pieces. What was I thinking? So let me just, because I like being transparent with y'all, okay? And I know I have so many, like, beginning quilters who follow along. Let me just tell you, if you print it out at the actual size, some of these pieces are going to be little. Today I'm going to use them this size, okay? But let me just say, if you use them this size, I'd say this applique is like an intermediate project because of the size of some of the pieces, okay? And Wanda had said, how could you make this bigger to turn it into another project? Well, she had read my mind, because after I cut out these pieces, I'm like, you know what? Some of those are really small. So what I did is I pulled up Adobe Reader or Adobe Acrobat, right? And I changed the print settings from 100% to 200%. And let me just show you, it printed out like 6 pages, right? You can just start to see some of the applique pieces here. But it split it up into 6 pieces. Let me just show you, like for size reference. Here's part of the page that has the hearts and the bow tie. And let me just show you the actual size. So it really does enlarge the applique pieces. It enlarges the whole project. So if you play around with your print settings, you could make this gingerbread however big you want. Okay, but today I'm going to be using the real size applique pieces, and we're going to have fun with it. Okay, now these pieces have been mirror imaged, so if you're tracing with a fusible like Heat and Bond Light, you do not have to trace from the back side of your paper, okay? The link for this page is in the description box. It brings you over to my Patreon, but you don't have to be a member of Patreon to get this page, okay? Belinda said, is there a free version of Embrilliance? There is. However, you're really limited on what you can do in it. But it's great for bringing in a design that you have purchased and getting it ready for the hoop, right? Seeing what's there, printing out a stitch order and all that stuff, right? There's no digitizing in the free version of Embrilliance. Okay, slow down, Lisa. Before we get started, what I've done, because the free PDF does not include measurements for projects, how big to cut a background, and all of that stuff. It's just the applique pieces itself. But what I did do is prepare a couple of slides I'm going to pull up on the screen here. So let's say you want to make a mug rug or a trivet or a quilt using this applique. Take some screenshots, get your phone ready, take some screenshots of what I'm going to share here on the screen with you, okay? Now this first one, and this is what it would look like, size proportionate, okay? It's going to be small on the screen, but the Gingerbread Man Applique, compared to the background it's sitting on, that's proportionately accurate, and that's what it would look like. If you cut a background at 6.5 by 9.5, you could make a mug rug with this applique, and that is what it would look like. My cat has been so clingy. I don't know what is going on with him. Here, boy. Come on. Look, here's a bed for you. You want to sit down there? I can't hold you. He has just been so clingy like the last 2 days. Look, right here. That's for Ashley Nugget right there. Sit there. Honestly, he's going to sit on an extra piece of batting I have right there. 6.5 by 9.5. That's the size you would cut your background. Now, if you wanted to make a trivet, and this is what I'm doing today, okay? I've cut my background at 9.5 by 9.5. This is how that gingerbread man would appear on that size background. Hopefully I'm still streaming. Nothing's moving. I'm going to keep talking though. 9.5 by 9.5. And that is the size that I've cut everything to stitch him down today. Okay, so there's your trivet. And also, if you were to take that 9.5 by 9.5 backgrounds and made 9 of them and did a little 1-inch sashing, cut your sashing at 1 inch wide, and little cornerstones that you cut at 1 inch by 1 inch, you could put him together to make a centerpiece that would measure 30 inches by 30 inches. And how adorable would that be? Okay, I'm still here. Nothing was moving. I was like, it's cloudy out. Maybe my internet's not working. Becky, that is so funny. He said, is that Lisa again? Tell him I said, hey. So there's some examples of what you could do with this applique, right? But that's just the beginning of it. You could blow it up in your printer settings and make all kinds of projects with it, right? But there's a few examples for you. Now, those with cutting machines, if you have a Cricut or a Scan-N-Cut and you want to get the SVG file for this, it is in my Etsy shop. There is a link down in the description box. All the pieces ready to cut out. Send it to your cutting machine. That's how I cut mine out today. Okay? All right. This cat is so funny. I'm going to have my pressing board down here, not over there. So now I'm really all just cramped up right here. He's just going to sit here and take a bath, which is kind of embarrassing. Okay, so I'm going to bring you down to my desk now and just show you. Look how adorable that is. Now this is much smaller than what we're making today. But if you have the SVG version of this applique and you have in Brilliance Stitch Level Artist 2 and above, you can import your SVG and digitize a little baby, I wouldn't even call this a mug rug. It's little. It's kind of like a card. Isn't that just super duper cute? I stitched this yesterday and I had so much fun with it. Now, I also wanted to show you this because look how perfect this one particular corner is. This one, it's almost there. These two, not perfect. But I'm going to show you a new to me trick for getting the perfect mitered corners with your self-binding. This is the first time I ever did it with this project. So that corner wasn't right. That one wasn't right. That was almost right. And by the end, I got it perfect. I'm going to share that with you today, okay? All right. Oh, this cat. All right, so what I have here is, because I'm going to make this into a trivet, right? I have a background that is cut 2 inches bigger than 9.5. So I have 2 layers of batting cut at 9.5 by 9.5. I have a background fabric cut at 9.5 by 9.5. Pardon me. And I have my back fabric cut at 11.5 by 11.5. Okay. And what I want to do is glue baste all this together and then fuse my applique in the center. And we're going to start stitching. Okay, let me get this iron warming up. Don't touch that nuggie. It's hot, boy. So what I'm going to do is find the center placement of my background, because I'm going to create all of my layers right now. Okay, so one of the things that I like to do is take my background my back fabric and press it. Press it one way, corner to corner. Open it back up. See those lines? Then I'm going to take it and fold it the opposite direction and press those corners. That cat cracks me up. All right, so see, I have really strong indications of some crease lines, right? That's just going to help me accurately place my batting right in the middle. So I'm going to use 2 layers of batting today. And what I'm going to do is match up my corners to those crease lines. And that's going to center my batting right in the middle, right? So if I match them up there, that's just an easy way without breaking out the ruler of perfectly lining that up. No, sir. I'm going to have to kick you out and shut the door, dude. And I'm going to glue baste these layers as we go. But once I have it perfectly put down there, I kind of just want to be careful not to move it around. So I'm going to glue baste half of it first. Make sure it's still lined up. During the day, when the weather is nice, the cat loves to go outside. Yesterday, it rained almost all day. I don't want to stretch that out. Almost all day, so he was inside. And today, the sun was out this morning, and I thought, well, that's awesome. He can go outside today. But a couple hours ago, the sun went away, and it's dark again. And he's cooped up inside. So on days like today and yesterday, he is just underneath our feet. I'm really just glue basting these layers so they don't shift around, right? Here and there. You just got to be careful because you can stretch that batting a little out of whack. All right, and here's my top fabric. I really like to be a little heavier handed along the edge. Like so. You would be surprised. People are like, why are you putting glue in your quilt? It's like, but have you tried it yet? Try it and let me know what you think. All right, there we go. Now let's dry this glue real quick, okay? Deb, your cat's name is Dude. I think that's funny. Now I'm going to spend just a little extra time drying this glue because there's glue in the middle between those layers of batting. And I kind of just want to make sure it's dry, right? I might have to pretend it's dry. All right, let's heat her back up and I'm going to press it from the back side and then we are ready to start fusing this applique in place, y'all. Plus, I kind of want to get rid of those strong crease marks that I created with my iron. Jennifer, one reason why I use glue sticks instead of spray basting. I have spray basting, I use it often, but the glue sticks have no smell. The spray basting tends to give me a headache. I still use it, but I prefer to use glue sticks. Another reason is because I am a tightwad, and the glue sticks are much cheaper than 1 can of 505, right? Much cheaper. And they wash out of your project. The first time you wash out of your project, they wash right out. And you can get glue sticks anywhere. You can get 505 spray or adhesive spray like at Walmart, Joann's, and places like that. But if you live further away from those places like I do, I can go to Food Lion and pick up a couple glue sticks if I run out, right? Oh, Nuggy Buggy, you're so cute. All right, usually, y'all, I start with my self-binding because I think, and I know it's totally backwards, usually most people do all their stitching first. And the last thing they do is their binding. I like to do my binding first. So you know what? We're going to do our binding first. Here's my applique pieces. I'm going to set them off to the side. We're going to do our binding first, Jill. Let's knock that out of the way, okay? Because I really do feel like, for me, it just helps keep my project nice and square. Okay? All right, so here's my extra inch all the way around. You could, of course, leave less than that if you like a smaller binding on the front of your quilt project, right? I know I'm going to have a good amount of extra space around this gingerbread man, so I do have a full inch of extra back fabric all the way around. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm batting all over my nose, is I'm going to take my batting and I'm going to fold it in half right to the edge of my project, right, and press it. All the way across. Now, some people use binding clips for this process. You know me, I like a glue stick. So I'm going to open it up. I'm not going to add any glue about 1.5 inches or so from those corners, but right here in the middle, just to give myself a little bit of control with this binding, I'm going to add some glue right there and just dry it. Okay, it's going to act like binding clips or little fingers helping you out, but see how the ends are loose? And then we're going to flip it around and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold it right to the edge and we're pressing. think the top of my quilt is a little off. There we go. This corner is just folded over. See that? I know the lighting, because it's dark outside, isn't that great. I didn't miter that corner yet or nothing. I just folded it over. I'm going to add some glue right in that middle. And we're going to flip it around and do the third side. See how this wants to flip back up, but if you add a little bit of glue, it stays where it's supposed to stay. That's what I want it to do, right? But I'm only putting glue right in the middle. Now this side has two folded ends just like that. We're just going to fold them right up on themselves, right to the edge. When I saw this, I was like, this is perfect. Although, full transparency, this is only my second time ever doing it. But this will be the way I do my self bindings from here on out, okay? Okay, so here it is. It's just tacked down in the middle all the way around, right? I hope this stays together because I have only glue basted my layers. But at this point, we're going to be doing some awkward maneuvers with our quilt or our project, right? Now, Mimsy's not here today. She sent me a message and she let me know that she would not be here today, but we should see her next week. All right, I'm gonna move this little pressing board out of the way, and I can't put it in my normal spot because the cat is there. All right, so what did I do? Oh yeah. This still opens up, right? And because we pressed it, we have a little crease line that you can see where we folded it in half and pressed it, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fold this. I'm going to open up this binding. That's the part that had me confused when I first did it. I want the quilt to be folded away from me. See that? And when we fold it, I'm going to match this folded quilt part to a line on my ruler, right? So it's nice and straight across there. I'm going to open up that binding right there. And I'm going to match up the folded edges of my binding here, nice and straight. And open this binding up and smooth it out like so. So we have it. I'm trying to do it where you can see. There you go. These edges are matched up. The fold is on the line. Now you might not be able to see it because the lighting is not that fantastic, but in person you'll be able to see it really well. Where you pressed it, you're going to have a little crease line right there. I'm going to draw a line with a pen right from the corner to that crease. See that little line right there? So I'm going to start sewing right here and do a little back stitch. And when my needle gets to right here, I'm going to stop and do a little back stitch. And we're going to cut the rest of this corner off. And I'm going to do that for all 4 corners, okay? Let's go ahead and do this first one. I was thinking I'd mark them all first and then move over there, but I don't want to mess anything up. So let's come on over here. I just have my machine that's set on a straight stitch. See, and I've already moved things around. We're going to start sewing right there. Right on that line, do a back stitch and sew straight down till you get to that crease and do a back stitch. Let's come back over here. I'm going to live on the dangerous side. I'm going to go ahead and just trim away, leaving a very small little seam allowance right there, right? So now we can open this back up. And I'm going to take a little pokey tool like this, and I'm going to poke that little binding corner out, just like so. Now I probably used the worst possible fabric, but in the light, see that? It's a sewn little mitered corner right in that corner there. Now we're going to repeat that process 3 more times, okay? We're going to match up the folded binding like that. We're going to flatten this quilt out like so. We're going to open up the corner binding and we're going to line it up. And I'm going to draw a line straight down. And really I'm just using this line here on my ruler to eyeball a straight line straight down. Folded edge on a straight line. Match that corner up to a straight line and just draw a straight line down to that fold. And we're gonna sew that one. I'm going to trim away that corner and we're going to flip everything back over and I'm going to press that little corner out. And it's perfect. Little miter right in that corner. You know, when I saw this, I was blown away. All right, so let's do the third one together. I'm going to match up that nice and pressed binding, nice and straight. Let's open up the corner. And draw a straight line right down. This is our third one. I like starting with a little leader. You don't have to. going to cut away the extra and flip that corner out. That's perfect too. We have one last one to do. So let's match up the binding down here. Flatten and smooth that crease out, the folded part of the quilt. Open up that corner. And draw a line straight down. See that little tiny line right there? Of course, if you are working with less than an inch of extra material, you're going to be sewing a much shorter little line. Like this binding, I only left a 3/4 of an inch extra fabric to use as my binding. And it results with a smaller binding on front, right? But it was a little bit more tricky, but you can certainly do it, right? This was cut at 3/4. This is a full inch. So the process is the same, no matter how big or extra fabric you leave on the back. And our last corner to cut off. Now watch what happens, y'all. Let me poke this one last corner out. It's perfect. And because we've already pressed our binding, watch this. It just naturally wants to fold over perfectly on the front. Now I am going to bring back my pressing board. I'm going to add a little bit more glue right along some edges. Right? That cat is just sound asleep. Now, she's a little awkward because remember, I haven't stitched anything with all of these layers. I've got 2 layers of batting here, so she's a little awkward, right? Where's my little thin glue stick? Here we go. All right, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. It would help if I actually put some glue on there. And I'm just going to press this binding right in place. Like so. And you don't even have to do the corners because those are sewn together, right? Was there no glue there? And then we're going to bring this over to the sewing machine and I'm going to do a quick straight stitch all the way around, securing this binding in place. And then I'm going to start my gingerbread man, which like is totally reverse of how you're supposed to do all the things, right? It is. She looks really baggy, doesn't she? Once we start stitching in here though, I think that'll all fill itself in. All right, so let me just bring this back over here. I'm going to just do a straight stitch right close to the edge of this binding. She is a little wonky. I'm just going to be really honest with you. I think the 2 layers of batting. The binding finished beautifully. My trivet's going to be a little wonky because of that extra layer of batting. Maybe I can pull it in just a little bit more and straighten that up some. There we go. Now I'm hoping that the lighting will be good on this. Where's my camera? There we go. See that perfectly sewn mitered corner? See how perfect that is? And y'all, this is just my second time doing it this way. Perfect corners, just like that. So there's my trivet. She's a little wonky on this side. That's okay. My corners are perfect. All right, so let me bring the gingerbread man pieces back. We're going to go ahead and start fusing those in place. I have a little string where I started sewing my binding. Okay. These little pieces are going to be kind of small. The eyes, the heart, the mouth, they're tiny. All right, so I'm going to just play around with the placement just a little bit, right? I'm not going to fuse them down yet until I get the hat and everything in place. But there's the body of my gingerbread man. And all of these pieces have heat and bond light on the back side. See the shiny? So there's the hat. And let's bring in the pom-pom. We're going to put the pom-pom down like that. And then the brim of the hat goes over top and overlaps all of those pieces. And I'm going to check my spacing above and below. I think that's okay. Let's go ahead and fuse these pieces so I don't move them around. And then we have the little icing parts of the leg. And those are going to go down here. We have the little icing parts of the arms. Stay right there, don't move. And then we have eyes. Look how tiny they are. It all looked so much bigger on my computer screen. And the mouth. At least he looks happy about being little. Right? He looks very happy. And then we have the bow tie pieces. And they are little, especially this little piece in the middle. And that is really still very hot. Let me see if I can move it around with this thing. Because that is really hot. I actually want my bow tie pieces to touch because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put my free motion foot on for some parts of this. I know a lot of you are really extremely new to quilting and sewing. Many of my friends have called me the great enabler. I want to get you started on the free motion stitching and quilting. I don't know what he is doing back there. So if anything, this video will be inspiration for you to put on your free motion foot. Your manual or machine might actually call it a darning foot. But I want to get you confident enough to put that foot on your machine and to try it. I'm putting my hearts every which way. See that? You don't have to. Thank you, Christine. I'm having a lot of fun with my little short videos. Do you know what I like about the little short videos? Even though they're kind of goofy, some are inspirational, right? But most of them are goofy and just fun. Is that it gives me a break from what I do all day, every single day. And do you ever feel like you're just burnt out doing the same thing all the time? And when you try something new, you're like, oh, that was fun. Yay, I'm excited to do that again. And that's what that has done for me, right? And it's also something fun that Harlan and I can do together sometimes. And we have so much fun doing those little things together. We laugh, we joke, and we have a lot of fun doing it. It's just been fun. I'm talking so that'll cool down. That iron is so hot right now. That's all of our pieces. Before I go switching to my free motion foot though, since I have brown thread in my sewing machine, I thought let's do a little zigzag stitch or something along the edge of the gingerbread man, right? Really anchor him down good, and I think that that would be super cute, right? And he's big enough that you could easily do a blanket stitch or a zigzag stitch or a satin stitch along the edge of him. Yes, you could make a boy and a girl one. That would be awesome. Okay, now I'm going to go over to the sewing machine. I think I'm just going to do a quick little zigzag stitch, y'all, right along the edge. And then while we're there, I'm going to switch the top thread to a red thread, and I'm going to do the same little zigzag stitch along the top of his hat. Not sure if I'll switch the thread. Sometimes I'm lazy about it, y'all. I'd like to switch to a white thread and stitch down the little pom-pom and the brim of the hat with the same zigzag stitch. And then I'm going to tackle all the small bits with my free motion foot. So it's going to be a mixture of the two, okay? We're going to spend a good little hot minute at the sewing machine. But the good news is our binding is done. We still don't have that to do. We're going to be doing some stitching and then we're drawing some names, okay? So let's come on over here. Let me get myself situated. And we are picking, what screen am I on? There's so many screens with this machine. Most machines will have a zigzag stitch though, so it doesn't have to be a super duper fancy machine. Most machines, not all of them, will have a zigzag stitch. That's what I'm using for this. And let's bring it down a little bit smaller. And you know what I always recommend doing? Testing it out to see if you like the stitch. Now, my settings, I'm going to tell you what they are, but that doesn't mean they're going to look exactly the same if you put this in your machine, right? A 1.0 millimeter for the length and a 2.5 millimeter on the width. Let's just see what that looks like, if I'm going to like that or not. And let me switch my foot so that y'all can see more clearly. I had the hardest time putting these feet on there. There we go. See that little stitch right there? You're some distance away, but I think that'll be perfect for what I'm doing today. So that's what I'm going with. 1.0 length, 2.5 on the width. And I'm going to start right here and just work my way all the way around. Let's do a little back stitch right there. This will be a good exercising for learning where to stop and pivot on these little curves. Just remember, if you're turning your work to the right, your needle should be in the right hand position of the zigzag stitch. And if you're turning your piece to the left, make sure that when you stop, your needle is in the left hand position of the zigzag stitch. Just so y'all know, I'm not able to keep up with comments when I'm over here. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm just stitching along, okay? All right, y'all see me take a little back stitch right at the end there. So there's my gingerbread man, right? He is stitched. Here's what he looks like from behind, and the lighting is horrible, and you can't see that. The lighting is so much better when it's sunny outside. I'm gonna go ahead and just snip that top thread. I'm gonna leave the bob in the same brown thread that's in there. And I'm going to pull out that brown thread. I'm going to pull out a red thread. Where's the end of this thread? Here we go. Let me get this machine threaded up real quick. Because what I'm going to do now is stitch down the red portion of the hat. And my lazy self wants to use the same red thread for the brim of the hat. I'll just do the red portion of the hat. I'm going to take a sip of this drink real quick. Let's see real quick. Could buttons be used in rick-rack? Yes! I hope you do. I love using other elements, and believe me, it would probably be way easier than stitching this little tiny applique down. Do y'all remember a couple years ago when we did the whole series called All the Things? And we made a big 12-inch quilt block, and then we made a little 5-inch quilt block using the same applique design. One was big and one was really small. If you worked through that whole series, I think you'd have no problem doing the applique in this gingerbread man. Okay. All right, because I'm not going to be lazy today. There's the red hat. That thread just blends right in with that fabric, doesn't it? It's hard to see the stitching, but I'm going to take that red thread out, move it on over, and I'm going to put a white thread in top. I don't know why I'm so lazy about switching out my thread colors. It's not like it's that difficult to do. It's really not. All right, and on the hat, now it's gonna be hard to see the stitching because it's gonna blend right in with that fabric, right? But I put my pom-pom down underneath of the brim of that hat. So I'm going to start at the pom-pom and work my way around. But when I get to the brim of the hat, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to just keep on and just stitch the whole brim of the hat, okay? I'm not even going to do a back stitch there because when I stitch the brim of the hat, it's going to go over these stitches and lock them in place. I'm going to cut that little thread at the very beginning. Ooh, that went fast. All right, I'm right at the brim of the hat and I'm just going to continue right along. Okay, those are my big chunks of applique all stitched down, right? So while I have the white thread in the top, let's go ahead and scoot on the free motion foot, and I'm going to stitch down the little icing parts and the eyes. Okay, and then I'll switch the color again and I'll put her in a red and we'll stitch down those parts. What thread? I use all different kinds of thread, okay, but let me just show you what I'm using today. I love it. It is a polyester thread. It's great for embroidery, quilting, stitching down stuff. Very pretty, very pretty. This came with my machine, but I will be buying more of it, right? I will be buying more. It has all different colors, right? See that? All the colors. So that's what I'm using today. All right, let's come back over here. I'm going to take this foot off. The whole foot comes off. And I'm going to put on this little tiny free motion foot. It's my favorite one so far that came with my machine. See the little eye right there? Yours might look different than this, right? But look in your manual. If you have no idea what this even is, look in your manual and see if your machine came with a darning foot or a free motion foot. It might look different. It might even have springs right here, right? There's all different kinds of free motion feet. This is my particular favorite one right now. Okay. You also might be able to lower your feed dogs on your machine. You might want to do that. I'll be really honest. I'm going to lower the feed dogs on this machine when I'm doing my stitching. And it works great. On my Juki HZL F600, when I did free motion work on that machine, my particular machine did not like doing free motion work with the feed dogs lowered. So I never lowered the feed dogs on that machine when I was doing quilting or stitching with my free motion foot. I never did, and it worked great. But so you'll need to do some testing, right? And what the testing looks like is bring in layers. So my trivet has 2 layers of warm and natural, a top and a back. 2 layers of warm and natural, same fabric for the top and the bottom. And you'll see earlier I went through and checked my tension with the thread I was going to use today and just got all of that worked out, right? So have a little test quilt sandwich that you can test on or even warm up with, right, before bringing in your project. Okay, let's go back here. I need to switch to a straight stitch because I'm in a zigzag stitch. That's just a straight stitch. I'm going to lower my feed dogs, and when I move, the stitch length does not matter because my stitches are going to be as long as they're going to be as long as however fast I'm moving this and however fast I'm pushing on that foot pedal, right? All right, let's start with the little eyes. I want to bring up my bobbin thread to the top, okay? So let me just raise that bobbin thread up. Bobbin thread up. Oh, it's so short. I was like, why are you not raising? There we go. It's much longer now. And I also want to feed all that down to the bottom through that hole of the presser foot. There we go. Now I'm going to hold on to these 2 threads. First couple little tiny stitches are going to just be ever so little tiny, tiny, tiny stitches, right? And they're locked in place. Now I'm going to just stitch right close to the edge best I can and stitch each one of these pieces, the white parts of applique, okay? I'm going to raise my needle and jump to the next part. Now I'll cut all these little jump stitches away once we're all finished, right? Look how fast and simple that is. Now the edges will fray, right? But not as bad because they do have some heat and bond light on the back side of that applique fabric. All right, because I'm not being lazy today, I'm going to switch that top thread one last time. I'll bring back the red thread and we'll go through these last pieces of applique real quick. Ashley Nugget, you are being such a good boy just sitting there watching. Yes, you are. You're the YouTube sewing cat. Oh, of course, I'll talk to him. You cannot come over here while I'm stitching. Go sit back down. All right. Again, because we broke thread, I'm going to need to bring that bobbin thread back to the top. Hey, I'm going to make you get down all together. See, look, you're pushing all kinds of buttons and everything. All right, see how little tiny that mouth is? Let's just bring that needle down. And I'm going to grab that top thread right this minute. See that? And bring it through the loop of that presser foot. And bring up that tiny little bobbin thread right there and grab it. And then lower that needle right where I lowered it the first time. My stitches are locked just like that. We're going to go up and scoot on down here. one last heart to stitch. Now, if you're like me and you just like turning on music and having something to do at the sewing machine, right? I think if you haven't tried using your free motion foot, you should really break it out and have fun working with that. So let's come back here. Let's cut all these little jump stitches. And because we've already done our binding, our trivet is finished. Trim, trim. I'll trim the ones on the back later. So, oh, there we go. So there's my little gingerbread man. Isn't he so cute? I missed the left arm. Oh, I sure did. I sure did. That's all right. I'll go get it. I'll come back to it later. Let's just pretend that the left arm is stitched down. Thank you for letting me know, though, because I would have surely called this finished. Y'all know me. I'm going to mess up something every single time. But doesn't that look super cute? I really think the free motion foot is the easiest way to tackle any small little applique parts like that, right? And you'll see in these sections, I didn't do... See, that's just got one single stitch line in the pieces. On these, I did a couple back and forth, and I actually like that better. It looks more intentional and less messy. So if you're really new, right, or you're learning and you're in the beginning stages and you're not happy with what the single line looks like, do a couple lines, because then it looks intentional, right? Just fill in the little applique area with stitches. Doesn't that look good? Alrighty. So there we go. There's my little trivet using the same size from the PDF. Right? I would say it's intermediate. It's an intermediate project, but blow it up, right, in your print settings and make it a little bit bigger. Right? Look how much bigger the icing part for the leg is at 200%. Right? So there you go. Okay, y'all, I have been super excited this whole week. Like, this whole week has just crept by so slowly for me. Because if you missed last week, then this is going to be kind of news for you, right? But today we're drawing names for a giveaway. And I think this is the very first time, and I could be wrong, but I've been thinking about it and I can't remember another time that when I did a giveaway, I actually gave away a project that I've made here on YouTube. I've done it a couple of times on Patreon, but here on YouTube, I don't know that I've ever given away something that I made. So I think this is a first, right? Now, here in a second, I'm going to switch the screens. We're going to go to a random comment picker, and I'm going to pull up last week's video. To enter the giveaway, you had to have commented on last week's video, right? Unfortunately, the comments today don't get entered, right? So if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. And check us out each week, because randomly I like to do a little giveaway. Now, our good friend Valeria had sent me a box a while back ago with a whole bunch of goodies in it. And this box was in there. Thank you so, so much, Valeria. You are so generous in sharing your goodies with us. And I've had a lot of fun being able to do random giveaways with them from time to time. So this is the Riley Blake Oh Christmas Tree kit, right? There's a ruler in here, a pattern, and a whole bunch of pretty fabric. I'm not going to take it out. Wanda would like to see the back of this project. Thank you, Dari. Of the gingerbread. You're not going to see much because the stitching just blends in. That's one reason I didn't flip it around. I used a brown thread. It's hard to see. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is give away the Oh Christmas Tree kit. Okay. And my screen's going to look really funny for a minute because I have to pull up the web page and all that fun stuff. Okay. I know I didn't stitch the arm. Okay, here we go. So this was the video.
She's covered in crofts of dark aging spots. Then she did this.
I had to get past the whole ad at the beginning, right? This was the video from last week.
The Wooble sent me some crochet kits.
And it's going to give me 2 ads. Of course it is. There we go. The stocking mug rug from last week, okay? What I'm going to do is copy the link from this video, and it's going to pull up all the comments underneath of this particular video, right? If you were here last week, then you know how we're picking the winner, okay? And then we're going to come over to this random comment picker. Again, this is for the Riley Blake Oh Christmas Tree. All right, I'm going to paste the link in here. Let's do some settings. Anything goes, yes. Include replies, yes. Allow duplicates, no. So the next thing it's going to do is pull up a comment. The person who gets pulled up, I need you to email me, and I'm going to pull up my email address here in just a second, so don't leave. All right, but I'm going to need you to pull up your email. Send me an email with your address, okay? Here we go. It's going to load all the comments. There was 156 unique comments on that video, and we are picking a winner. And the winner for the kit is Mary G/LP3ZO. And Mary said, I love these Christmas stocking mug rugs. I am going to make a few of them. Thank you for sharing. So Miss Mary, you'll need to email me. I'm going to pull up my email address here in just a second. I'm going to take a screenshot of this so I remember who won what. And I'm going to save that, okay? Right on my desktop. Kit. All right. Congratulations, Mary. I'm so excited for you. Now, we're going to keep this in here. Same video link, right? And now we're going to do the name for my Christmas bulb trivet. Okay? Let's go ahead and pick a winner for that. Marilyn, you won my trivet. Marilyn said, watch you on the replay every week. Have learned so much over the years. Appreciate the efforts you go to for all of us. Congratulations, Marilyn. I'm so excited for you. I'm going to take a screenshot of that so I don't forget who won that. That is awesome. I am so excited for y'all. Let me get back here. Turn that off. And then pull up your comments. There we go. So many screens. So many screens. I'm going to pull up my email address for y'all. It is on the screen right now. to that email address. Please don't put your address in the comment section on YouTube, right? Y'all know. But send me an email with your mailing address, and I will be sure to get that out. Probably not this weekend, but Monday morning, as soon as I hear from you, right? I'm so excited for y'all. Ashley Nugget, you're such a good boy. Oh, I know, Savannah, I can switch. I have figured out so many technology things, right? Streaming live on YouTube. Threaded needle, thank you so much. You're welcome. I feel like I'm out of breath. I know we've been here a hot minute, an hour and a half, but it seems like I just got started. Like, that's how fast I went through that little project. I certainly did forget to stitch down that one little icing part on his arm. And I'm too lazy to put white thread in there and do it again right this minute. But I will keep this next to my sewing machine, and the next time I put the white thread in there, I will just stitch down that little part right there, and it'll be all finished. Adorable, right? And I don't think that that applique looks out of place on a 9.5-inch quilt block. I think he looks pretty good on a 9.5-inch quilt block. There's my little trivet. He's cute. I'll probably put him in the farm stand. Y'all, as soon as we're done here with the live, I gotta go round my parents up because we did a joint venture freeze drying some cheese. Sorry, that soda really gets me. So yeah, we shredded a whole bunch of cheese and we're freeze drying it, and it's ready to go. It's ready to be packaged up. I can't wait to try it because I've heard that freeze-dried cheese is delicious on salads. And I am trying to eat more salads. I'm trying. Dari, thank you so much for moderating today and keeping an eye on everything. Thank you. Can you show us the shirt? I'm curious what all the chickens are saying. Yes, I can try. Let me pull down my email address. I think you'll see better. Things I do is hang out with my chickens, look at chickens, research chickens, talk about chickens, feed chickens, dream about chickens. I've done all those things in my spare time. Things I do in my spare time. I've done all of them, although I'm not the main provider of all those things. I have done them. A good friend of mine sent me this shirt. Isn't it pretty? It's purple. Wanda, you're not afraid of machine applique anymore. I'm so glad. I think the only way you're going to overcome anything like that, right, when you're nervous and anxious about trying something new, is to jump in and to do it. And the worst thing that's going to happen, you have to pull out some stitches and start over again, right? That's the worst thing. Savannah, do you want to see what it would look like? A whole bunch repeated as a quilt? I do have like a little slideshow example. Adorable, right? As a centerpiece. I've had a lot of fun with those little videos. Sometimes I post like 2 or 3 in a day, and then I'm like, I bet you I'm getting on everybody's last ever living nerve. But then I think, well, if I am, they can just scroll past it. Because I'm just having so much fun. And I'm a cornball, y'all. Most of the time, I crack myself up doing them. Faye, the reason why I pivot in those corners on my binding is because I don't want to over, like it. I think it really depends on my stitch length a lot of the times. And I don't want to overshoot going too far this way, right? And then my stitch length is more in the binding versus closer to the edge. So a lot of the times when I get to that corner, I'll pivot and do a stitch and then turn it, and I'm right on the edge of the binding. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if I did a whole stitch this way and then pivoted 90 degrees, I'd be too far in. So that's why I do a little pivot. That's just the way I do it. Not the technical right way to do it, right? But that's why I do that. And you know what? Thinking outside of the box, did you know we did this last year, didn't we? At Christmas time? We stitched an applique on a shirt. Do y'all remember that? It's hanging up in my closet. Do you know that's trending right now? Quilted sweatshirts. They call them quilted sweatshirts, but it's an applique on a sweatshirt sewn on the sewing machine. That's trending right now. We were hot in trending a year ago before it even happened. Did you know that? But that hasn't been around. That wasn't brand new then. I mean, you know how trends come and go through the years, right? Right now it's trending quilted sweatshirts. So think about taking this Gingerbread Man Applique and putting them on a shirt. You'd be trending. All right, y'all. Yeah, Darlene, you know what? If you wanted to make it a girl, you could make a little dress, right? You could even do a little flipped hairdo. Now that's something you're gonna have to get creative with, right? Because I'm not gonna make a whole nother pattern for a girl, probably not. But you could do that. You make yourself a little dress that goes right over there. How easy would that be? You don't have to sew down all these little parts. And then just change this out for a pretty pink. A pink hat, right? You also could do little dots in the eyes, right? On the boy or the girl. Like, I feel like it could probably stand to have that in there. Yeah, go rogue. Absolutely. Ah, so Terry is thinking about making a quilted jacket. Add eyelashes. That's a great idea. Okay, y'all. Ashley Nugget, I think we're done, boy. Let's go pack up some cheese with the parents. I hope y'all have a fantastic weekend. Next Friday, I know what we're doing, but I'm not going to say. I'm going to keep that a secret. Keep you in suspense. And same time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube. Patreon members, y'all don't forget. Even if you can't come for the whole time, come and pop in here and there, right? Quilt Retreat starts at 2 p.m. tomorrow. It's a new time, right? Usually we start in the morning. but I'm backing it up for everybody who's a couple hours behind me here on the East Coast, right? 2 p.m. I can hardly wait. I'm going to try to stay up the whole time. Just to let you know, since daylight savings time, about 9:30, 10 o'clock, I get so sleepy. I get so sleepy, but I'm going to try to stay awake the whole entire time. Should be a lot of fun. All right, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic week. I look forward to hanging out with you next weekend or next Friday. And if you try out this little binding, mitered binding with the self-binding, let me know. Share pictures over on the Creative Crew. Okay? Love y'all. Have fun with this applique, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye.